Hi guys, welcome back to Quirky Gems. I'm Gem. So in this video I was going to talk about something that is to do with, I guess, mindfulness. It's something that I thought I should do while I'm feeling it. So I went out today, and usually you should know that I have chronic health conditions. So I have fibromyalgia, endometriosis, migraine, chronic fatigue syndrome and gastritis. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I do have a scroll. And I'm constantly adding to it every year, but be that regardless. So I went out today, and I'll be honest, usually my way of life is that once a week I get home delivery to my house via my supermarket. I can't really go out and about and get shopping because of obvious reasons, getting out and about. And when you have something like fatigue, you don't know how your body's going to react. So yesterday I was actually feeling a bit fatigued, and I was starting to get a bit of a pain in my neck, which is like my symptom for, yeah, Gem, fatigue is coming. And today I heard on the news that we might be in a possible lockdown in the next 24 hours. And I'll be honest, I was panicked because over here in the UK it has been mad. Now, it's difficult enough being what I would classify myself as being disabled. I don't like the term, but in society that is where I am. I am disabled. And so for me, having online services that can deliver, medication or groceries is a lifesaver, and it's also a load off your mind. Now for me, I need specific medication, I need pain relief because I have chronic migraines, and if I don't get it in time, if I don't stop the migraine in time, I'm going to be out for the count and I'm no use nor ornament. What I have found though in the last 24 hours is that there has been a supermarket, and they have stated that if you find yourself vulnerable or disabled or elderly, that you're supposed to ring up this number and that you're supposed to tell them that you fit into one of these categories. On paper, I guess that would sound great, right? I guess it would be like, great, we're getting the lay of the land, so we know who to put as priority. Apart from, it doesn't really work like that. Due to having data protection laws, companies don't have that kind of information. And also I noticed that living with chronic health conditions and being disabled anyway, it's hard enough living in a society that isn't really built for you. Throw in something like the coronavirus and it really gets to you, because you think, really, you're putting all these safeguards in, but they're not really working. So today I had to go out because I had to find some pain relief, and I also had to stock up on some things because the home delivery's been taken away now. So I have to kind of figure out a way of getting shopping, and like everybody else, and that to me is the anxiety part. Now, I know this is normal. I know that it's normal to feel anxious. I get that. It's a different thing. I think everybody that has anxiety is feeling it. Another way of looking at this though is that because I have chronic illness, I'm home all the time anyway, and I do find it fascinating that people are not sticking to a routine. Now, usually, if you have a job or you have something, let's say for argument's sake a job, right? Most people have like a commute, or they have to get up a certain time, go to work, do their job. They have like, I don't know, set hours, 7 or 8 hours a day, and then afterwards they come home, Bob's your uncle, and you're done for the day. So now, because everyone's in self-isolation, well, most of the people, you have, whether or not you're worrying about symptoms, or whether or not you're kind of in self-isolation because maybe your kids have got symptoms, or your other half's got symptoms, or your mum's got symptoms, you've got to be in for 14 days, right? What I find fascinating though is that for a lot of the time, when you are in self-isolation, I find it fascinating that this literally is how someone with chronic illness does live. That's the thing. I talked about it in a previous video where I talked about coronavirus, but this is how someone with chronic illness lives. We can't do a commute because we don't have the energy. We can't have a job, we don't have the energy. And what I find fascinating is that society is built, and society is made in the way that usually people with chronic illness feel, I guess, vulnerable, because we have to rotate and try and fit a mould of what society wants us to do. Now, though, it's very strange because if you have the coronavirus, you are, I mean, I'm assuming based on news coverage, you know, you've got people that have, you've got the cough, you've got the feeling of the temperature, you've got all this stuff going on. And it's weird because usually living with chronic illness, it's so strange how they say on TV over here that you have these symptoms, you just self-isolate, right? Any other time, it doesn't happen that way. Any other time, if you need time off of work or you need time away from whatever it is you're doing, you have to go to a doctor's note, you have to make sure you get the doctor's note in. It's all very different. Being the chronic illness sufferer, to be honest with you, that is something that I do worry about. So I do worry about the fact that I have fibromyalgia and a lot of the symptoms mirror like the flu. So you get body aches, you get migraines, you know, you get all that type, you know, it's all kind of overlaps type thing. So if I was going to get the coronavirus, that does worry me because it would be kind of like my body's got to fight to survive, you know, because it's underlying health conditions. But tonight, in particular, I do feel anxious. And I think that in my mind, it's because I think about it as like when they used to talk about cavemen times and they used to say about foraging for food. Now, you can't tell me, right, that back then they didn't have the same thing. They had fight and flight, which is kind of like their instinct, which I guess this is what I'm feeling, right? I mean, they have fight and flight where you had to be scared about, I guess if you kind of were to compare it to now, you have to be scared about trying to find food. Or you have fight where you kind of, I keep saying it every day, I keep saying I can't wait for life to get back to normal, I can't wait for life to get back to normal. And the reason why is because life in my normal makes sense to me. I have more freedom. I don't have to worry about whether or not we're going to run out of food. I don't have to worry about whether or not we're going to get a delivery slot on on a supermarket. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to pick up a virus that's going to affect me and my family and that it has potential to kill. And it's so weird because a lot of it is very similar in the fact that, you know, you can't go to work, as mentioned, because you're ill and stuff. But to me, I think that is what I'm witnessing now. That is what anxiety is, right? It's kind of like a fight or flight thing. For me, I've been through like a benefit system with being chronically ill. And I'll be honest with you, going through a benefit system is kind of stressful enough because you're thinking this department has the ability to either say, yeah, you know, you're disabled enough, you look the part, you're, you know, you tick all of our boxes, we're totally going to put you on disability, you know, don't worry about it. Or you've got to worry, you know, do I look ill enough, will they, you know, will my medical information be enough? And the strange thing about it is it kind of mirrors a lot about what's going on right now. So the great thing is over here, for the most part, the most of the buying toilet roll and stockpiling seems to have gone from what I've witnessed. I've gone out twice in the last week. So I went out last week and I've just been out today. So for me, I'm of the mind really that if I can go out and get what I need, I kind of think, I like getting exercise anyway. So if I can't go out one day, I'll go out the next. But if I go out and get what I need, if I crash when I come home, at least I've got the stuff there. I've got, you know, I'll be okay. As long as I try and drink enough water and I'm fine, you know. But I want the food there so that I know that I don't have to keep worrying about going out. The strange thing being though is that just the last 24 hours, a big supermarket over here was saying about if you're disabled or vulnerable, you had to ring up this number and say you're disabled or vulnerable. So I was saying, okay, right, let's look at this for what it is, right? Okay, in any other version of society, okay, if you get pulled over by the police and you're in a car, the very first thing they look at is you look for driver's license or vehicle registration, right? That's the first two. Okay, if you're a NHS worker, you get a little photo ID on a lanyard to say you work for the NHS. It has your name on it. It has your, you know, it has a passport photograph of you on there. That's your form of ID. If you're going on holiday, you've got a picture of your mug. You know, you've got a passport photograph on your passport to say you're you, your date of birth. You have some form of identification. unless you have something like, if you have PIP, which is a benefit over here, you usually get a reward to say you got PIP. It tells you what kind of, which kind you have. If you're lucky, you might get both. If not, you're going to have one, right? So you get something to say this person is on PIP, otherwise known as personal independence payment. If you're on universal credit, you also get this thing to say, you know, that you get this, that and the other. Everything you do, you get some form of ID. However, if you have to go into a supermarket and they say, I mean, it hasn't happened here where I live, but if you have to go into a supermarket and they say something like lines of, you're vulnerable or disabled, I would like to know what form of documentation they're using for that. Right now, tonight, okay, it's been mad because we've been trying to ring this number. I've counted on my mobile, I've rang this number 12 times. All you get is this message, and it's weird because the infrastructure isn't there for disabled people, and to be honest, it literally validates what I've been talking about. If you listen to my podcast when I used to do Quirky Gems podcast, I will leave the image here, and you can find it on the Anchor app. You can also find it on I think it's Google Play or whatever. You know, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. I'm also there on Stitcher as well. Or you can find it on thequirkygem.wordpress.com. If you want to listen to the podcast, it might just help you out. But what I find fascinating is that when I feel vulnerable and stuff, I talk about this, because if I'm feeling it and other people in the chronic illness community, whether you are classifying yourself as vulnerable, if you have something that, you know, if you classify yourself as you can't easily get access to places, you don't have a lot of energy to work, if this is something that is disabled, you know, it is a disability. It affects your way of life. What I find fascinating though is that a lot of things are happening now with the coronavirus that they could have put the infrastructure in to do ages ago. And it's like, okay, so I understand, like, now they're trying to think, okay, so the elderly, the vulnerable and the disabled, right, we want to get them fed and stuff because they might not be able, I call it foraging, okay, kind of going back to the caveman times, I kind of call it foraging. They can't go out and forage to get their food, right? But I just find it fascinating, as someone that lives quite a limiting life, right, if I'm being honest, the only thing that really I would have to go out for if I didn't have to go to food is something like Etsy, and to be honest, that's great for my mental health. It gives me a sense of purpose, right? You can find the Etsy address here if you want to check it out. But what I find shocking and quite disheartening is that if you live in 2020 and you have a disability, the infrastructure isn't there for you. And I mean, normally it is. Normally, you know, you can get home delivery, you might be able to get your medications delivered to you. It's just so, it's weird. I've called it like a zombie apocalypse. However, there aren't any zombies. This is all because of a virus. This is all because of a virus that everybody is terrified of catching in case it kills. For me, when I go out and about, I'm trying to remain level-headed here, because I'm thinking, okay, when I'm at home, I'm okay, I'm clean, I've got hand sanitizer, you know, I'm okay, I feel safe. It's just that when I go to bed at night, I think the next day is still there. You turn on the news, it's there, and you're having to use your energy to deal with it. For someone that's like, I kind of am thinking about it like in the form of anxiety, and I kind of think, well, hold on a second, you know, this literally is like caveman times. If the only thing is we have social media, that's the only difference, right? And we don't kind of have to go out and knock other people out to get food. I mean, that's usually the image that they paint for us, isn't it? But I just kind of found myself to be quite anxious tonight, and I figured that really, based on the situation we find ourselves, I guess, really, it kind of makes sense. And I don't know, I came home today and I cried because, you know, you're literally having to go far and wide to get stuff you wouldn't normally have to go far and wide to get stuff for, if that makes sense. So, if you can't find toilet roll, I mean, so, I know it sounds weird, something you take for granted. Everybody does. We know that if there's a supply and a demand, we're going to get it somehow. They never usually run out of toilet roll. And if it doesn't if it's not in your local supermarket, you can guarantee it's going to be at your corner shop, right? So you've got that to worry about. If, like me, you're a migraine sufferer and you rely on bottled water because tap water gives you migraines, all these little things, and you're having to find plan B for them in order so that you can get from day to day to day. I was saying to my other half about ibuprofen. For me, ibuprofen, if you listen to my podcast, Quirky Gems, you'll know that for me, I take ibuprofen as a preventative. It's my fight against, I mean, migraine's a neurological condition anyway, but it's my fight against migraine, okay? It's the only thing that works. That and mint and water and a cold tea towel around my neck. However, if it grabs a hold, a migraine, if it grabs a hold, it can linger with you for 3 days. And as I mentioned, I'm no use nor ornament if that takes place. And it's just that I think what they talk about on the TV doesn't help. I'm just trying to I'm going to be doing hopefully a video about routine, especially if you have chronic illness. I'm guessing that you already have the routine, because to us it's kind of like, okay, we might have to go out a little bit further and buy food that we wouldn't normally have to worry about. But I'm hoping to do a video about routine, so that maybe if you are looking for something to kind of keep you motivated, I'm going to be talking about as I mentioned, I have an Etsy shop, but I'm going to be talking about some stuff that I am hoping to do when I have the energy. You know, you can't argue with stupid, but you find a lot of stupid trickles in, and then you have to deal with that when all you're thinking is, I just want to knit, I just want to paint. I mean, what is the world coming to? So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully be talking about that and routine. So if you're interested and you want to find out more, please do make sure that you hit subscribe right down here. Make sure that you hit the bell so that you never miss an episode, and give this a massive thumbs up if it's helped you in any way. Maybe you have chronic illness, please do let me know. But you can do so by my contact, my socials, which should be here, round about here, the banner. So yeah, I feel better now because I kind of got it all out of my system, and kind of, you know, it makes sense kind of putting it out loud to the interweb and to you all. But yeah, like I said to my mum and other half downstairs, I said to them both, I guess feeling this way is normal, because this is such a surreal time. Our instinct is so weird. The mental health epidemic that we have, right, is completely overshadowed by the pandemic. When you have anxiety, I don't think about it as mental health, but now I am, because it's how your brain kind of, you know, deals with information. For me, I'll be honest with you, for me, it's kind of like, this is the very reason why anxiety exists. This is what's trickled all through the years. This to me actually does make more sense than what's going on out there, if I'm being honest, because I'm thinking, fight or flight, this is what it is. I want to run away from it, to be honest. Sometimes I think, okay, I need a rest from listening to the news, I need a rest from social media, I need a rest from hearing about it. So I want to think, like, I want to do something else. But then another way I'm thinking, okay, if I have to go out to get stuff, I'm going to have to go out to get stuff, because, you know, I'm not going to suffer. I spend the majority of my time before this pandemic trying to keep a rhythm and a routine. It's not going to go down because this virus can't get a clue, you know? So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And I'm sorry if my words are slurring, it's because I've got fatigue and it's been a really long ass day. So if you do want to get in contact with me, then you can do. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. It's @gemsquirky. If you do want to check out the podcast, it's thequirkygem.wordpress.com. I'll put it all in the description box below. Let me know how you're getting on. If you want to follow me, I think that, as I said, I think we should just give ourselves a break, because this is literally what fight or flight is. It's what anxiety is. This is what we are, you know, I guess this is what it's here to protect yourself with. So I'm going to, hopefully in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm just going to make sure I stay hydrated, and I'm going to make sure that I stay warm, because I noticed where the temperature drops at night, that can have an impact on, you know, in fact, just made me word, an impact on how you feel. I might have some chocolate. You know, chocolate is always good here. And tea, you know, I'm a Brit. We drink tea. Okay, you know. So I have uploaded a makeup tutorial as well. So if you want to get your makeup out and you want to have fun, maybe you want to, you know, have like a little bit of a distraction for if you have to go out foraging, then it's there. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this video has helped you. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Take it easy, guys. Bye.